So welcome to my review of my year 2020 and how to master the Ascension cycle in 2021. I'm your host, Aloise Surfleet Middleton, creator of the Dharma Life Academy and host of the Dharma Life podcast. And this week you will learn how it's so important to gather the learnings from the previous year so you don't repeat the lessons. You will also learn how to call in the year that you truly deserve next year. I'm going to give you a really simple trick and tip that I use all the time to align to the outcome that I'm trying to manifest. I'm also going to show you the key work that you should be doing that I did last year, that if you haven't done, I really recommend you do this year. It's not too late, but it is really, really important work to make sure that you are in alignment with this ascension cycle. So my name is Aloise Surfleet Middleton, and if you haven't already, please do subscribe to the Dharma Life podcast. Every week I release videos, I interview top thought leaders around the ascension cycle and what is happening on the planet. Such an exciting time on the planet right now. The big reveal, I think, will be starting to happen very, very soon. Everybody's going to be waking up, so it's absolutely fascinating times. Really important to stay in a high vibration, really important to focus on the timeline that you want, the highest timeline for humanity. So if you haven't already, please do subscribe. But this week, I wanted to go through with you a review of my year last year. I always like to do this around this period of time. Usually my husband and I will go away. We usually go somewhere warm over New Year's Eve. And we take time to plan our year, and we take time to review the previous year, because I really think it's so important that we really gather the learnings from any year that we go through, so we don't necessarily have to repeat the lessons. So what do I mean by that? Well, I like to look at the energetic themes of the things that I learned. And I always have a look at my previous year and really take away the key things that I learned. So I wanted to share them with you today. So the first one is to trust the timing of your life. I am somebody who likes to run before they can walk. I have little patience. I'm developing it as we speak. But what I really learned this year is trust. The more we lean into our spiritual path, the more we feel guided. And I really experienced that this year. For me, my guides were preparing me for Corona and for the Great Awakening before it even happened, probably about 3 to 6 months before Corona hit. So probably the end of 2020. I went to see a friend of mine who lived locally, lived down the road in the end. And he and I were chatting, and he basically said, oh, you really should read this book. And it was a book from Patricia Corey, who's been on the podcast. If you haven't gone and watched that episode, please do. And she's written a series of 3 books. And essentially they're almost like a starseed awakening guide. And these books I just were preparing me for what was about to happen on the planet. And so it was absolutely incredible timing that I got to read those books. And I really learned this year just to chill out. You know, I've always been pushing and striving and wanting things to happen. And I would just say, if you're really in tune and if you're listening to your inner voice and you're in alignment with that, which I know I am, it's really just to enjoy life and really stay in the moment and trust the divine timing of it, because it's really happening for us, not to us. And when we can come from that standpoint, life is amazing. Some of you know that I'm also on a baby journey. My husband and I have been practicing for quite a while. And so for me, trust is a really big thing. I've really had to lean into just trusting. But having seen, you know, what happened in 2020, I really had to shed my skin. You know, I really had to stand up and stand in my belief of what was happening. And interestingly, when I looked at my life lessons, so in the Akashic Records, you can look at your life lessons. And it's really wonderful because it shows you an energetic theme for your year and for also what your soul wants you to learn. Now, one of my life lessons with my relationship with my husband is trust. How interesting. And I've had a few moments this year where because I know that it's made it so much easier for me to trust. I also have a life lesson of courage this year. Now, it's taken a lot of courage for me to really shed my skin and really stand in what I believe and be a voice for good and a bridge into the fifth dimension. And I can tell you at the beginning of Corona, when it all hit off and I started doing posts on Facebook, it was scary and it was difficult because people, obviously, who don't see what's happening on the planet right now, like to kind of come at you and attack. So really for me, this year, the kind of lessons that I've learned is trust the timing of your life, and that comfort zones are made to be broken. To say I have been out of my comfort zone this year is an understatement. With all of the podcasts that I've done, with all of the collaborations, Josh X, Charlie Freak, Elizabeth April, please believe me, that has pushed me out of my comfort zone more than you will ever know. But when we are focusing on our dharma, on our purpose, on our raison d'etre, none of this is about me. It's about serving. It's about waking people up. It's about helping the children. And I always use that as a way of pushing myself out my comfort zone. And I'd like to say that all of you listening, I know that all of you out there will have had an amazing year. You will have got whatever it is you needed to get this year. And I'd really like you to just take a little bit of time to assimilate and sit down and take some time to yourself and really just work out what you learned. What happens in life is we tend to repeat the same things unless we get the learning. It's really important that you, after anything that happens in life, you asking yourself, what did I learn? When we get in the habit of this, it means that we don't have to repeat the lesson and we get the learnings. So take a little bit of time, grab a pen and paper, grab a cup of tea, and think about what your major themes or major learnings were from last year. So I've just shared with you mine. One is to trust the timing of your life. And 2 is that comfort zones are made to be broken. And believe me, they are. And also, I'd like to say that all of you guys listening, I want to say thank you for being on the journey with me. I really appreciate you subscribing to this podcast. I really appreciate you commenting. I really feel like we're all in this together, and I really hope that by me sharing what I go through, it encourages and inspires some of you guys to really, step into the person that you're meant to be, and also know that all of us are part of the solution. We all have a role to play, and we all have a part to play in the evolution of humanity. And I just want to say it is the most rewarding journey that you will ever take. So I would encourage you to find like-minded people to do the journey with, because it does make things much easier. Now, we are going to be opening our Dharma Life Academy. Actually, we're doing the Unlock Your Abundance Challenge, which is all about shedding our poverty consciousness and understanding that we've been a consciousness trap of materialism and consumerism, and money does not make us happy, even though that's what we've been taught. So I'm going to be doing that challenge. It starts on the 18th of January. The link will be below. Please come and join us. We're then going to be opening the Dharma Life Academy. And what we do in the Dharma Life Academy is we do this work together. So some of the work I have done last year, which I would really recommend you to do if you haven't, is do some shadow work. Now, you might hear people say shadow work, you've got to do shadow work. And it is true. It really is true. You need to do it. Now, I would recommend you do this with a community. It's great fun to do it with people you trust. But I'd also think it's really important that I walk my talk. Like on various occasions last year, I went and had witnessing sessions. Now, a witnessing session is where somebody will witness you while you describe and talk through probably the areas of your life that you don't like to look at. So for me, it was very much around having a child. I'm 43, and I have 2 stepdaughters who I absolutely adore and love and consider my own, but I would also like my own child. And if we repress emotions, they turn into dis-ease. And I know that. And I also know that unless I process my emotions, I end up with resentful or maybe projecting my feelings and emotions onto other people. And my relationship with my husband is very important. So I knew I really needed to take time to be witnessed and to transform that energy. Now, if you imagine, it takes a lot of time and a lot of energy to actually suppress your emotions. Now, when you're suppressing emotions, this could be trapped trauma or trapped emotions in general, you don't have that energy to manifest and create the reality you want. So this is also twofold. When you do your shadow work, when you do the witnessing, when you do your inner child work, you're freeing up that stuck energy so it's available for you then to pull in the reality that you want and desire. Now, a really simple way to do this is just to look at the things you're avoiding. And if you don't necessarily want to do a witnessing session, just journal it out. I say it all the time, but it's so simple. You do have to feel the feelings, and you do have to go there with your emotions, and you do have to really go into the emotions. But it's so worth doing. And obviously what's happening at the moment is our collective shadow is up on the planet. We're seeing all the stuff that we didn't see before that's been hidden from humanity. And as we integrate our own shadows, we will also move up. So this is really important work that you guys should be doing. The other thing I really want to recommend is I've really worked on integrating my higher self last year. And for those of you that follow me, you know I talk about using one of these, which is a pendulum. And I just wanted to really flag that again, because this is the simplest, easiest, quickest way I have found for you to integrate your higher self. As we ascend, as we go into higher states of awareness, higher states of consciousness, we are integrating our higher self. What does that mean? It basically means that we are becoming one with that guiding part of us, with our right brain. So our higher self wants us on the highest, best timeline, not only for humanity, but for ourselves. So if we are listening to the guidance that we get on the right-hand side from our right brain, when we meditate, when we use our pendulums, we are going to be on that highest timeline. So if you haven't already, please start to use one of these things. I want you to keep it on your desk. I want you to keep it by your bed. I want you to ask it questions. I want you to really utilize it and use it in your everyday lives. And also, we are going into a period where they're ramping up mis and disinformation. So what do I mean by that? Just because somebody is a light worker, supposed light worker, doesn't mean that they are teaching the right things. They also might be in a consciousness trap. Look at the New Age movement. They don't teach you to integrate your shadow. They don't teach you to move up the 7 alchemical levels. They keep you distracted with butterflies and unicorns. So some teachers aren't even aware of this. It's not their fault, but I would really just like to encourage you to use this when you're listening to information. So say you are consuming a video on YouTube. Again, 80-20 people, 80% creating your life, 20% knowing what is going on, right? You are a human creator. Where you put your energy matters. Make sure that you put 80% of your time and energy into creating what you want to happen. This, if you take nothing away from last year, the Great Awakening is about the fact that you are a multidimensional human creator. But use this when you are listening to information to see if your higher self says it's true for you or not. Because I really want you to move away from disinformation. And as I said, just because somebody perceives to be looking and working for the light doesn't mean they actually are. So this is about you guys gaining your personal sovereignty. It's not about you giving away your authority because you think somebody knows what they're talking about. This is about you guys, myself included, us standing in our power, us gaining the authority and really understanding that we are the one that calls the shots. What tends to happen is when we build trust with somebody, you know, and I'm saying this for myself included, you know, when we build trust with someone, we might just say, oh, okay, I'm just going to listen to everything they say. What I want you to really do is just see what works for you. I know a lot of teachers, myself included, will say, look, take what works and leave the rest. But I would really encourage you to utilize this tool to integrate your higher self. I have now integrated my higher self basically 100%, which all that means is, I have very strong reactions to things. I know what I need to do when I need to do it. When I turn on a video that doesn't work for me, I can't even watch it. So this is where we want you guys to go. The other thing I really want you to do for 2021 is get a vision for your life. What, not how. We do this in the Dharma Life Academy. We are going to be creating an abundant vision for our lives in the Unlock Your Abundance Challenge. If you're not sure how to do this, come and join the challenge. We're going to be doing this together. And I've been doing these meditations where I take you into the future. My little tip and trick for you is when you are connected to your vision. So when you can go and do one of my recorded visualizations on my channel, I want you to go into the future and visualize your future. And I want you to really feel what it feels like to be your future self. Feel what it feels like to be in that energy. I want you to think of one word to describe that feeling of being in that energy. Now, I did this earlier, last few days or so, and the word that I got, you can only have one. The word that I got was power. I will feel powerful when I'm standing in my vision. Now, the little hack that I want to teach you is I want you to look at your day on a daily basis, and I want you to think about how you can make yourself on a daily basis feel the energy of your word. So for me, it's feeling powerful. So I'm rejigging my daily routine. So on a daily basis, I feel powerful. Because what we're doing is we're matching the energy of where we want to go. Now, by doing that, you'll also get ideas by having a vision of where you want to go and what you want to do. You will also get ideas from your higher self that are aligned to your vision. But the best thing I can recommend is come and do the Unlock Your Abundance Challenge. It's going to be so fun. We are going to be doing Akashic Records activations. We're going to be doing abundance bingo. We're going to be doing energy work. There's going to be probably about 1,000 of us doing it. So yeah, it should be great fun. But we're also going to be doing what I'm describing here. And I'm going to be showing you how you can align to your abundant future. Abundance is there. We just have to understand and break down the blocks that we have in our life to calling it in. So thank you so much for listening. If you made it all the way to the end, I'm so impressed. I would love you to share down below what your 2 biggest learnings are from 2020. And also what you do to prepare for a new year. So what are you doing to prepare for 2021? And I'd like to say thank you. I love being on the journey with all of you guys. I feel very blessed and very lucky to have such a wonderful, high vibrational, supportive audience who always leave amazing comments and just are incredible human beings. So I'm really happy to be on the journey with you, and I'll see you again for another incredible podcast next week. And if you haven't already, please do subscribe, and thank you so much for listening to the Dharma Life podcast. Thank you so much for listening to the Dharma Life podcast. I do hope you enjoyed this episode. Please come over and say hello on my Instagram, our Facebook group, and also please let me know what you thought. So if you are listening, please take a screenshot of the podcast that you are listening to, tag me on Instagram, and I will reshare your post. And please let me know what it is that you got out of today's episode. Remember, when we do our Dharma, we are happier, healthier, we live longer, and we have a deep sense of unshakable inner peace.